Hey Kyle, how you doing?
Hey Paul, how are you? I'm doing great.
Good, good. Thanks for coming back here. It's been as I we were talking before, it's been a few months I think since we last got together and we did a live event online about updating your DELT profile.
Yeah, it
Um,
seems like that wasn't that long ago, but I guess it was.
it's gone quickly. It's gone quickly. Can you remind us quickly why do you think this is so important for DELT members to do?
Yeah, so I think this is twofold, and it's why I approach you about the importance of this is on the one hand, as a member organization, it's really important, I think, for DELT and for the DELT website to look as professional as possible. And I think it's important that everyone who's a member also is, you know, having their bio and their headshot up there so that it looks like a professional website for a professional organization. That's one. And the other, I think, is for the individual, him or herself, it's important to present a professional uh, bio and headshot so that if anyone, editors or agents or whoever, comes to the website, they see that, oh, here's a member and this person's based in the US or this person's based in Australia or wherever it happens to be. You just never know who's going to be approaching the website looking for translators.
Yeah, and as we were talking about before as well, that this is the page where most we get the most visitors. And now we've actually changed our website ever so slightly. And maybe you could tell us quickly just the nuts and bolts of how do we actually get into this new website? How do we log on to change our profiles?
Yeah, I can do that. Let me share my screen here,
Thanks, Kyle.
and hopefully you're seeing that.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. Ooh, that
Great.
looks sharp.
It does look good. It looks, kudos to everyone who put that site together because it really is nice. So Danish to English.org. You should bookmark that page.
Hmm.
It's easy to remember Danish to English.org, but just remember the page. So what you need to do when you get to this page is you're going to scroll down to the bottom where the login button is. So just go through all this great news, and this Find a Translator page is really a great page, a great membership benefit for folks as well. All right, so then you come down to the bottom of the page here and you see this login area, and you want to click on that. And I have my username and password saved, so I don't have to remember every single time. So then I just log in, and there you should see, and this may be different from person to person, I will say. We've discovered that you may see a different view here, but this is where I come in. Um,
I think, Kyle, it depends on whether you've set up your profile before, and it might look slightly different if you've already got one set up. But the first time you come in, it might appear slightly different. But you've done a really good job of writing that all down, all the details there, so we can
yeah,
we can we can follow through that later. Yeah,
yeah, and we'll share that. And if you
yeah,
don't
yeah,
have a username and password, email deltcommittee@gmail.com for one to be sent to you.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So once you're logged in, you're going to see a headshot image as you see here with me. Um, and this is my mug, so to speak. Um, and then all these here are social media tabs that you can insert if you're on any of the social media tabs. Sorry, if you're on any of the social media and you want to be, what you want to share that, that's where you can put that in there. So, and then I'm going to just kind of go through this. You have a tagline here of something brief that will help alert editors or agents or whoever, authors even, where you're based and who you are. And then you can scroll down, and there are things you can put in here, such as your website, your contact information, what categories you translate. Now, honestly, I could almost see myself, I don't translate so much these days, in fact, at all, but I could see myself adding other categories here. I just stick to fiction, generally speaking. And then the professional profile is a brief bio. We're going to get to all this later. And then here we have a really great opportunity, and this is one of the, I think, the really nice features of this new website for members is that you can actually put in your recent publications. And now I realize I have more I need to put in there, but I haven't done that, and I will have to do that on a separate site.
Constantly updating, aren't we?
Yeah. So what? That's just a brief, quick overview. So what you want to do is this wheel or cog. Once you're logged in, you're going to want to click on this. And then you can see here, you can edit profile, you can go to your account, you can log out, you can cancel. You're obviously going to want to edit profile here. And so in this, you can update your cover photo, and I think it's a really strong and important idea for you to do that. I have here, this is an interview. I interviewed Michael Chabon, the American author, a few years ago for this big audience here, and I'm extremely proud of this event. It was one of the most fun literary events I've ever had. So I have that as my cover photo, and then of course you can also share your headshot. And I strongly recommend, if you can, as professional a headshot as possible. Now, obviously, a good solid selfie on your phone can work, but it definitely has to be of a higher resolution, something that people, makes it look like you took the time to care about your headshot. And
Yeah.
we'll also add, I'm a proponent for just having you in headshots and not having, you know, images of uh, other things,
Yeah.
cats and dogs and things like that. I don't think that's as professional as a regular headshot.
I should say, Carl, we did another event a little while ago about images, and we're going to be sharing some more information about what like some sort of criteria for your images, what is really good, and some tips and stuff like that. So that'll be forthcoming.
Okay, that sounds great. Um, so I'm just gonna looking at my notes here to make sure I'm covering everything. So here's the this tagline. And like you have up to, I think it's actually, I don't know how many characters you have. I see I have 184 characters left. So I could add more,
I think it's
um,
250
250. Okay.
characters. Yeah.
Um, for this, I really like keeping it brief. Just simply because there's going to be an opportunity for a bio down below. You don't need to repeat yourself. I think the most important thing up here is to simply, you're a translator, where are you based? That kind of thing. That's my take on it. Now, I'm not going to say that you have to do one thing or the other, but I just think brief is best.
No, I agree,
When you think
Carl.
about,
Yeah, I think
yeah,
like 10 words is really good. The other reason I always like to point out that this tag is important is because this also shows up on the Find a Translator page with all of the other DELT translators. So it's a good way of differentiating yourself from other DELT translators.
yeah, and to that end, I mean, the United States is obviously a big country, so I could differentiate myself further by saying based in Rochester, New York,
Mhm.
um, but I don't. So, but that's a good idea. But given that, you know, obviously I could do that just to differentiate there. So.
Yeah.
And then you can scroll down. You can obviously you have these opportunities. Like I said, if you have a website, drop your website in there. Do the entire URL, do the contact email. You want people to reach you, then you need your email, your contact email, the one that you use for your professional work.
Doesn't have to be. This is one thing that does not have to be visible on the DELT site. You can leave an email blank if you like to, but it is a good way to. Yeah, definitely.
And there are options for you if you like. I have just chosen fiction here, but if you want, you can. There are other opportunities, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to click on Uh, I don't do drama. I love it, but I don't translate it. So I'm going to do those three,
Mhm.
uh, and then I'm going to update. But what you have to make sure when you update is you're going to have to go down to the bottom, and we'll get to that in a bit.
Mm.
But then you have opportunities for you have your Facebook. You can put the URL in there. You can Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. I still call it Twitter, and I'm barely on it anymore now that Elon Musk is involved. Um, but it occurs to me as of right now, there are no options for Blue Sky or Matador or anything else. Is that correct, Paul?
I think you can add other ones on there. I think these are just visible because these are the ones you added when you initially set it up. I think there might be more available. If
Okay.
not, get in touch and we can add them. I'm sure we can add them on the back end there.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Given that, some people on TikTok, some people on, Blue Sky.
Are you on TikTok?
I am not on TikTok. I That is not a medium that works for me, frankly.
No, no.
Uh,
Um, on that note, let's move on to the. Are we at the professional profile there? I think is that where
I
we're
think we
gonna.
are. Yeah, we're
And this is
professional.
your thing that you really specialize in, and this is something you're really a champion for. Champion this.
Yeah, but let me before I do that, I want to get down to the bottom here because you need once you make any updates on your website on this page,
Mm,
before you log out, don't forget to hit update profile
yeah.
because nothing will change, nothing will be saved if you don't do that.
Mm.
So that's a huge key thing.
And now we can see those other categories are saved there. Yeah, good.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So, but I'm going to do this again and I'm going to hit my edit profile
Hmm.
and I'm going to scroll down back to my bio. Now, I haven't updated this in a while, and I probably could again, but I'm a big proponent also of a short bio, a relatively short bio. So I always like to tell people between 85 and 150 words is like the sweet spot for bios. And one of the reasons I say this is that editors, agents, authors, they're really busy people. They don't want to wade through a lot of words to get the meat of what matters to them. And as you can see here, we can start off. I have this reminder of who I am again, what I do, and then I have a little section about some of my previous work, where it's been published, who I've translated, all that stuff. And these are I've pulled the ones that I either feel are the biggest names, the most recognizable names, or in the case, in some cases where it might be a writer that whose work I'm really proud to have translated. And obviously you determine what you want to profile there. And because I published a debut novel last year, I've been more or less not translating and focusing on my own writing. But I wanted to highlight that. So here I have the translation work, but I also have this fiction work. And I pulled a quote from an author named Eden Lepucky who called the novel an assured remarkable debut, which is pretty cool. So I
Hmm.
thought, well, I'm going to use that, and I like the idea of being assured and remarkable. So I use that.
I also like that
And
you've got your prizes and awards at the end of that as well. I think that's a really good idea.
yeah,
We
and
don't we
that I
don't
think
we
that
translators don't like tooting our own horn sometimes, so people forget about these great prizes they've been awarded. So that's yeah, it's important.
for sure. And there are translators who have far more and greater prizes than I have. So they should definitely tout that and use it
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I will say that uh, if if one of a member's translations is nominated for the Booker Prize, then by all means that needs to be in there. In fact, I think one of yours was, correct?
no,
There
not
you go.
mine. No, no, long
Oh,
listed, but not. But Barbara is currently on the short list for
okay.
the international booker, so that is we're all crossing our fingers for her. So
Yeah, and that's a perfect
mm,
example. Definitely, even if it's just a nomination, that's
yeah,
recognition in the industry that somebody thinks your work is good. So put
sure,
it in
yeah.
there.
Mm,
As you'll notice, I do not have my website here on this page, even though when I have my bio in other places, that when I publish in a journal or in a book, I always like to include my URL. But here I don't need to because it's elsewhere on the page.
yeah.
And the other thing I don't do here, which I do in other instances I use the bio, is I don't include my location. Uh, I obviously I'm based in the United States. I'm based very specifically in a certain location in the United States, and I use that sometimes. But here, I've already included where I'm based, so you just be brief as possible and just stick to the work and stick to the bio.
Yeah. Can I ask you another thing? Is I know most people do this. This seems to be the favored way of doing it, even though we all know it's that we're writing our own bios, but it's written in the third person. Is that the best way to do these, do you think?
It is, yeah, unless told otherwise. I like to think of this is what would go on your book if you had a translation that was being published by Random House, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They're not going to publish a first person bio.
No. Great. And do you want to so we've got that. Do you want to talk about do you have any other tips for writing this professional profile? Is there anything else we need to remember on that?
Um, well, one tip, and this goes back to being brief, we don't need to know every single thing you've published. And I think sometimes I've seen in my editorial work, uh, the I've seen some writers just put everything in, like it's a resume or a CV, and you just don't want to do that. It's not necessary. And in fact, it ends up being diminishing returns. The more you have, the more likely someone's going to turn away and say, no, I don't want to work with this person. I think that is a legit thing. It certainly was for me when if I see a bio that is just everything, I just stay away from it. Um,
Yeah, and
and
especially
again, I think
you've got the recent publications just below that as well. So uh, you know, you can probably put them in there if you wanted to.
yeah, and yeah, and so we'll get to that. The recent publications feature is a super feature, and it's a super easy one too.
Mhm.
So like here's my book. I'm putting this at the top. I'm thinking of it as a kind of a pinned book. But I can add more. I've actually published a lot since this particular article came out. But let me go through and actually pull one if I can remember one. So I'm going to pull this. Actually, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to pull it down. This, if anyone ever had a WordPress blog, this is pretty much what a press blog. I can't even say that. It's a very tongue twister. This is what it looks like, basically. So what you can do is pretty straightforward. I'm just going to do something random here at this point. Of late, I started a Substack recently, and I've been writing uh, more bloggy type of articles. And given the scenario happening in the US now, I've been really focused a little bit, probably too much on that. So I've written an essay called The Great American Clown Car Revs Up. And so to basically add this to my recent publications list, you just type it up there, and then you highlight it, and then you can add a hyperlink. So I've got the hyperlink now. I can paste it in and hit apply, and there it is. You can see the Great American Clown Car revs up, and now anyone who comes to this page can click on it and read it. But again, of course, I'm going to update my profile now to make sure that it saves. And it's really simple to use. And you can publish, as to my knowledge, you can put as many recent publications as you would like. I don't know if there's a limit. Maybe Paul, you can.
I think there is a limit, but I think it's quite there's quite a lot of space there.
Okay.
Yeah. You can
Um,
get quite a lot of publications in there.
Great. Well, and I will add after this is over. I will add. I forgot to add that it was actually from my Substack, but I can do that after this is over.
Yeah,
Um,
this is looking great though.
yeah, and anyone can do this, and everyone should do this. And I think, and it's particularly important. I think if you want to highlight certain aspects of what you're doing. So, for example, if you are like Mary McGovern is an example here. She has been translating Martinus, and if she wanted to highlight certain divinity works that she has done over the years, that kind of adds a little bit of clout to her work as the translator of Martinus, that might be an option. Or for you, I know you also translate Norwegian. So if you have something that maybe highlights the fact that you translate from Norwegian, whether you're, you know, in a Norwegian newspaper, whatever it is, put that in there so that people recognize that, oh, this person's maybe an expert in this particular area. And I know for me, when I published my debut novel last year, I wrote a number of articles about Copenhagen, about Denmark, things like that. So
Hmm.
I wanted to kind of tie in the fact that the main character of the Book of Losman lives in Copenhagen. I wanted to tie that back into the book to make sure that people understood that yes, there's a connection between the Book of Losman and the author of the Book of Losman and Denmark.
Yeah, that's great.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So any other questions on this?
I
Do you
think
want to
that's,
see?
yeah, no, I think this looks great. We can now see the sort of the overview of it. That we've got a bit of the profile, the publications. We've got the tagline there, and we're also going to share the document that goes through these things in more detail. So if people have any more questions, they're all answered in this wonderful document you've put together there. So I think that's about it, Kyle. Thank you so much for sharing with us, and thank you for putting all this together to help us all out here. Really appreciate it.
Well, thanks, Paul. And I do want to, and I always want to stress this that I don't consider myself an expert in anything at all, but I do I'm a big, strong believer in the importance of a professional website, a professional appearance in the work that you put online. And so to that end, I just wanted to say, when I looked at the previous website, and even to a little extent to this site, I see members who don't have the profile, and that's why I would like to encourage them to put their profiles, their image, the bio, because if you're going to be a member of a translation organization like this one, then you should go whole hog and just do it and just put it out there, because I do think and I know that there are members in the Facebook page who talk about how they often get approached, and chances are they're being approached because they're being found on this website. So I just want to encourage people, if they're serious about translation, to really just to have a great online presence. And if they don't have a website, then this is a great resource for all
Yeah,
members.
exactly. Yeah, you could use this as your sort of personal website. And I know some of our members have actually shared they've updated the profile and then shared it on LinkedIn and other spaces as well, just to show what they're doing, which I think is a great idea. So once you have updated it, feel free to share it with the world, let other people know.
Yeah, I
Good
think
for
that's a
us and
great
good
idea.
for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Kyle. And we'll talk soon. Okay.
You're welcome. Thank Paul.
All right.